We are going to take this stuff apart and yeah, see what new parts we need, what's worn out. Currently I only have the shocks, so we'll pull it all apart and go from there. This is what we're working with. Previous owner, some kind of electrical tape. I just 3M undercoated over it. I put new drop links on. I didn't record that. Sway bar drop links and then new bushings. You can see the bushings. Have not driven it since, so yeah, looks pretty good. We're gonna tear all this apart, clean it up the best we can, and then replace the shocks all the way around. So hopefully I got the right parts. 19 mil. You got one here and one below it. You can't really see, but two 19 mil to take off your brake caliper. Just got the brake caliper zip tied right there. Now, 2 Allen keys. Take off the sway bar drop link, ball joint, and tie rod in. 3 bolts on top, and we'll lower that whole thing out. Where'd it go? 19 millimeter, 18 millimeter, and then 13 millimeter ratchet, and 13 millimeter open wrench for your drop link, your sway bar drop link. You have to push this down. This is pretty much separated here. I don't even need to do anything. So this will need to come down so it releases there, and then you take your 3 nuts off on the top. 13 millimeter for the 3 strut tower nuts, and then the whole assembly kind of just falls out. Nut right here to back that out, and then the new shocks come with a new one to thread inside the strut tube. I'm gonna clean these all up, grease the bearings, clean all the rubber up. And then that bolt right there was not tight at all, by the way. It came right off. I'm waiting for the special socket to install the new one. There's a gap in there so you can hold this and torque the nut. But for now, I just vice grip this one. They're going in the garbage. And then I used my chisel and a hammer, broke this guy loose so I can pull that old guy out there. Hopefully it comes out pretty easy. The Bilsteins came with the tool to get it on and off, which is huge, but I didn't need it, so sprayed those a little bit. My tie rod end is shot, the boot. All right, I'm repainting that front portion. I need to let it dry, so I'm gonna move on to the back. Pull the cloth shrouds out, and you got 2 nuts on top there. I'll tell you what size those are in a minute. And then you got one 19 millimeter down here on the bottom. Yeah, these are 100% shot. Shouldn't be able to push that up with 2 fingers. That's a fact. You can hear that. They're gone. So I'll pull those top ones out here and show you how that goes. 13 millimeter. 2 bolts or nuts, excuse me, on the top there. Slide it out the bottom. So I put some 3M undercoating on that, but this shock, stock BMW, as far as I know. I mean, it's just shot. Barely putting any pressure on it. It's freaking done. New one, you can't even move. I mean, it's not even rebounding. I mean, an inch an hour, so it's toast. I'm gonna clean up under here, add some undercoating there. Turned out pretty good. So I pre-measured the ride height. I don't know if I mentioned that, but wasn't bad. Just toss your jack underneath, get the top bolts in there, nuts, excuse me, and tighten those down. So I'll pull this other side out, do that off camera. Rears are pretty basic. The fronts are, you know, the most work. So I'm sitting on the ground because I really need a vise, but this part might be kind of important to some people. 13 millimeter closed end wrench, and then I'm just using a crescent wrench on top because it's not an Allen key. So I'm holding this one still and rotating the nut because this shaft will spin. If you just try rotating this nut, it'll just spin and spin and spin. And then I'm doing it in reverse. I'm doing it in reverse to put it back on. Okay, got her cleaned up. So just a better look. 19 millimeter for your caliper. And then you have another 19 millimeter right here. And then it's the same 13 millimeter for your sway bar drop link, 19 millimeter for your control arm, and then 19 millimeter tie rod end. And then the 3 nuts on your strut tower. And I took a little time. The ABS, I just wrapped it in this cord hider. I took all that electrical tape off, cleaned up everything. This goes up into the engine bay. It looks a lot nicer in there. Everything's pretty much cleaned up. I bought a new ball joint, and then if you made it this far, I ended up buying a bunch of parts. So I'm gonna take a bunch of stuff apart. All right, I don't know if you can see that, but this ball joint would not, the knuckle would not freaking come off of that thing. So I had to use the little spoon, and it ruined a perfectly good ball joint, which I've ordered. So now I'm gonna press it out like I did the other side. And you got your little retaining clip, you just get it started, and then you run a zip tie around the boot, and it just pulls the little clip off there, and then you just pull this little rubber deal off so I can press it out. Got that cleaned up, painted. That one's kind of sitting there ready for installation. Obviously I got a little bit of overspray on the rotor, but lacquer thinner, once this is all totally dry, I'll go through and wipe that up so it doesn't get all over the pads. But I might do a couple other things with this one before, because I got to take it apart again. So a couple parts trickled in, 2 sockets, I guess, and a breaker bar. But yeah, and then I got the front strut brace, which is pretty cool. You have teenagers, you know about misfortunate accidents. So that's why you don't start manual in gear. And then that bar right there went into the front of my car, which kind of sucks. We're not gonna cry about dumb shit around here. We're just gonna make it right. So, all right, parts came in today. Got the old one removed. Got the new one on here. That one is ready to bolt up. I'm still waiting on some other parts, which seems like it's taking forever, but I guess it is what it is. Starting to put this one together. That's where we're at. I fixed the front myself. I didn't record it. Wasn't important. So yeah, moving on. We will compress the springs, install them once we tighten that retainer nut, and yeah, we should be good to go. All right, I got the shock in there, you can see, and then the little white retainer, the little Teflon deal, I just slid it down below the strut tube a little bit, because once I put the dust protector on and get that back and wrapped around, it should pop into this groove right here, is how I believe it goes. It goes together way too smooth like that for it not to be a thing. So I'll do that, compress the spring. All right, the little dust boot is on. Literally just push it down here. It's got a groove. Seen the little Teflon thing, you ride it down there and then you snap it into this groove. It's the only way I could think it goes. It just fits way too perfect, it looks way too good. So that's what we're going with. Now for my theory on new part that's slightly different. You can see the bearing in there, and then this is a little bit different. Hopefully you can see that. It's kind of got an exposed bearing. Yeah, it looks nasty, but at the end of the day, I think they are the exact same thing, the same but different. So you also have a washer on the inside. It's the way it comes from the factory. So I am going to do the same thing I did on the other side. I'm going to clean these two up. I'm going to put this one on the top, just like so, and put that one, or I guess that would be the bottom, and that one on the top. That's how I did the other one. That's how it came apart. This is not going to make that huge of a difference. It makes a good wear. I'll grease these a little bit, and yeah, we'll go like that. So just a quick look at the configuration. That washer goes on top of there. Obviously the top of the strut goes on top of that, and then the plastics, the rubbers, they weren't that bad. I should have probably bought a whole new set, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So this has been like a 15-day process. Pretty reputable company I ordered these things from, and it is taking them forever. So we got the reinforcement plates for the rear and new shock mounts. I just said screw it. So I'm gonna take the rears back apart, put them back together. We've already gone through this, and then I'll just show the final product real quick. I want to show what it looked like. So pretty good stuff. It's like mid-grade, better than stock. And then the reinforcement plates are real high quality. I got all this stuff off of ECS Tuning, by the way. So it was all in stock. I'm not sure why it's taken so long. I've never had it take this long through these guys. Still waiting for the ball joints. I did replace the boot on this one, which really good fit. I got the factory retaining ring and then the factory retaining clip, or whatever you call it. I showed you how to take that off with a zip tie earlier in the video. I got these from England. The only problem is it showed two of these. It only came with one, a smaller one, and then some weird ass one. So I had to order another set, but I mean, it saved $100 tie rod end, and it was like 2 minutes worth of work. It came with the grease. My son's gonna turn that into he's gonna turbo that. So yeah, we're gonna have a little fun with the 91 Accord too. So anyways, yeah, a lot of little things going on around here. I'll film all that, of course. So I'm gonna jump on this side now. All right, sorry for the low light, but off to the left of that reinforcement plate, you can see where I had to cut a little of the seam sealer. Just cut a little half moon out of it, but they're both installed. They look really good. Yeah, it wasn't too hard. So I'll put the little liners back in and wait for more parts. Boot for this side, brand new boot, original tie rod, and it's perfect. Like I said, Uniball or something, I can't remember. Places from England. It came with a ball joint, tie rod, and some other boot. But anyways, got that guy installed. It has basically been almost 1 month. Yeah, since I ordered these ball joints from ECS Tuning. Finally called, wondering what was going on, and I don't know, I can't remember what they said, but either way, they gave me the Bilstein ball joints, which is an upgrade from what I bought. So I like it. I mean, they made it right. So I need to install these, and then I can put the front end back together. So that's where we're at currently. We'll get started. Protective covering is off. Tossed it back in the box. So it just comes with these little covers. Protect the boot during transportation. So just pulled the nut, pulled those off. See the star Allen key on the top, so that way you can tighten them. Hopefully they go on good. So let me get set up and we'll get to installing. All right, ended up pressing that off camera. Like I said earlier, I bought a kind of a universal ball joint kit. So collar on top here, receiver, and then I used these two to push it, and then the clamps, just a C-clamp. So just pushed it up through the bottom. You can see that. yeah, obviously. And she's in. So, boy, that was a tight freaking fit too. So, had my breaker bar. Anyways, it's doable. This, like I said, is just a universal ball joint setup. So, kind of just gotta pick and choose whichever ones work best for the task at hand. Here's the C-clamp. I'll do this other side tomorrow. I got it on top here, obviously. And then line up the ears. The ears are directional, at least when I pulled them off, they were directional. So I got little red marks underneath, so I put them in there the same way. So put the receiver on top, push from the bottom, try to get it perpendicular so it's not all cross-eyed in there. So it's kind of late here on a Thursday, so I'll finish the rest of this in the morning. Yeah, this is technically to extract the ball joint, receiver cup. Unfortunately, this is the only setup that I can get in here to push everything parallel, and the whole idea is to push it inside there. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you do it, just as long as it's done right. So, well, installed right, maybe not the setup, can be however. This is where we're at, literally. Just, I got my jack handle breaker bar, because these things are pretty hardcore to get in there. But yeah, push it in there and then we'll start installing everything. I got the first one hooked up here. This is a 19 millimeter. The tie rod end, I think I said it was a 19 millimeter, it's a 17. So I got that tight. I used a socket to position the ball joint so it would go through the hole there. Tie rod is just temporarily attached. The ABS and the brake wear just hanging there for now, and the drop link is for the sway bar is not attached yet. Got the 3 nuts on the strut tower and the stabilizer on both sides for now. I didn't really film it because it was a bit of a struggle. I had to one arm that heavy son of a gun and then get these started. They're not quite torqued down. And then I don't have the track bar attached on this side. It was a bit of a bitch to get that thing off, but for the new ball joints, literally it tightened pretty much on its own, but you can put an Allen key in the top and then use a 19 millimeter open-ended wrench. I didn't have that, so I got it snugged up with a 3/4 inch just so I knew it wasn't spinning, and then finished it off with a 19. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm not really filming a whole lot of this just because you took it apart, it's self-explanatory. Just a brief overview. So yeah, just real fast. This side's pretty much buttoned up. This was spinning and it doesn't have an Allen key, but to get your drop link off your sway bar, you're gonna have to put your jack up underneath here anyways. So when you push this up, and I just used a screwdriver, I mean, it looks maxed out right now because it is. The suspension's hanging, the tire's not on, the car's not sitting on it. So it's gonna be a little difficult to get in there. Just used a screwdriver to manipulate it, get the holes as accurate as I could, and then a little pry bar up above the sway bar against the frame. Let's put a little pry bar right here, and then got my leverage from the frame, and then I smacked it in with a rubber mallet. So you will kind of struggle with one side, but that sets you up for the other side because it's gonna, you know, move farther into place. So the ball joint is tightened. My torque spec, as always, is Bob's your uncle. So you do you, basically. The tie rod end is tightened, and then my marks are perfect, so I know my tie rod didn't go anywhere. I will put the ABS and the brake sensor together last. So yeah, it's looking pretty good in here. I mean, I'm pretty happy. Got these tightened down for the most part. I have a feeling I'm going to argue with this so I might have to loosen these up. And I guess I'm gonna assume that the name of the manufacturing, Racing Dynamic, points towards the front. So yeah, that's what I'm going with. This side, like I said, was basically lined up for me. I don't know if you can see that. Sorry for the shaky film, but basically lined up. Just slide your bolt, put your nut on there, ball joint, 19 millimeter tie rod end, 17 millimeter, and then you can see the Allen for the ABS. So should be good to go. Final touches. Well, doing the final touches. Still have a ways to go, but fitment is pretty good. I had to leave each side loose and then manipulate it with my hands, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna tighten the shit out of the freaking handling. The way it went on told me that, I guess, if anyone's curious. So still need to just put the disc brakes back on the fronts and the ABS and the brake sensors, then the wheels, and I should be good to go. Calipers on. I routed these a little bit different than the way they were. I went back and looked at the video, and the brake line one wasn't even on there. It was on this guy. So tidied up pretty good. Looks pretty good. Just put the caliper back on. It's pretty self-explanatory. So everything's together for the most part. I'm gonna jump over and do that to the other side. Toss the wheels on and call her done. All right, after basically an entire month, most of it spent waiting on parts, it is done, and the ride height still needs to settle a little bit, but 24 5/8 is where I measured it last time, so it's up about a 1/16. So she's back, better than ever, hopefully. Gotta fix the panel, the paint on this side. You can see it's got a little bit of scuffed primer or base coat, but other than that, it looks good. So yeah, can't wait to see how it handles. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Just a little update video if you made it this long, kind of what I'm doing and all that fun stuff with the car. I did get another project car, so I'm excited about that. So stay tuned for more. Thanks.